The nature in which this crypto space is evolving and maturing is at such an unprecedented level that many people are going to get it wrong, even those in the decision-making seats. I mean, think about it. It was less than a year ago now that the United States SEC, of all agencies under Gary Gensler's ruling, believed that every cryptocurrency was a security. And now look at where we are. You have to look at the bigger picture. As this new monetary era is being created around us right now, and that's why I believe, not financial advice, that we all need more XRP. I say this because we have this recent interview here with Caitlin Long, where she basically states that based on the conversations she's had recently with certain Fed officials and the decision makers for banking licenses, they are, and therefore she is, adamant that these crypto companies and stablecoin issuers, so like Ripple and XRP, therefore with RLUSD, they will be able to apply for and receive a trust license, but will never receive approval for a Fed master account. So they will never have the ability to connect directly to the automated clearing houses and the Federal Reserve, never to be treated like a true bank. Take a listen here.
Do you foresee that stablecoin issuers are going to get access to Fed Reserve and be treated like banks? That's another lingering question that we don't have answers to. We know the Treasury is hosting a roundtable coming up soon. We know that they've opened up some comment, but there's still a lot of unanswered questions. Do you foresee that fully approved stablecoin issuers are going to be introduced into the Fed Reserve system similar to banks? Will there be that kind of parity?
No.
Expand.
Because stablecoin issuers are not legally depository institutions. There's been a rush to get trust company charters, and there have been several now who have applied for Fed master accounts. And the Fed master account system, you have to legally be a depository institution in order to use the payment system. Let's step back. What is a depository institution? It is a financial institution that is legally authorized to accept a US dollar deposit. A trust company by law is prohibited from accepting a US dollar deposit. To be able to use FedWire and ACH, the Fed has taken the position that you have to be a depository institution. So a trust company may be able to use trust services like storing T-bills in a Fed master account. There's precedent for that, although not clear that that's even legal. But the Fed has historically given some trust companies access to Fed master accounts, however, not for moving money in the payment system. What's the value of moving money in the payment system? It's the par guarantee. This is why ultimately we saw so early that you have to be a depository institution, and that the stablecoin market, I firmly believe, will go entirely to the banks. That doesn't mean that crypto companies won't themselves become banks, but right now there are exactly 3 of us that are banks, and we're all Wyoming special purpose depository institutions because by law we are authorized to accept US dollar deposits. The Nebraska DADI charter is not legally a depository institution, therefore not eligible. All these trust companies, including OCC trust companies, also not eligible to get access to the payment system for moving US dollar deposits. That is where the distinction is. And I have had very extensive conversations with the actual decision makers, and I believe firmly that that is ultimately where it will come down. So these trust companies stops that several crypto companies are in the process of making right now are intermediary stops. That's great. That gives companies the ability to do business nationwide. If they have not been able to do so, they don't have to do the 50 state money transmitter licenses. So there are benefits to getting, for example, an OCC trust company charter, but getting access to FedWire and ACH at the Fed, you've got to legally be a depository institution. And I firmly do believe, with very good, very recent conversations with decision makers, that the Fed is not going to change that.
Now, there are a couple of interesting things Caitlin stated here. One being that only a depository institution is legally authorized to accept a US dollar deposit, which is the requirement to make you recognized as a bank in the eyes of the Fed. A trust company like Ripple's acquisition of Standard Custody and Trust is not enough. So in her words, the Fed has no desire to approve Ripple's request for a Fed master account. Therefore, XRP will never connect directly to the Fed and automated clearing houses. But again, remember, we are in a new, evolving and maturing financial era. The SEC has already been completely revamped and the Fed may also follow in suit. And actually, Kaylin did state, if you heard in the interview just now, that crypto companies may still become banks. And maybe that was her way of hinting that Ripple and XRP is going to be that one exception. Considering that we have documentation like this, with XRP being highlighted as the only digital asset with clear institutional use case designed to solve a multi-trillion-dollar problem. That's a very, very big deal. Not just that, you also have in the words of Morgan Stanley, that XRP could be the $1 trillion threat to SWIFT, the SWIFT system. And with the help of Ripple's partnerships and acquisitions, it is only a matter of time before XRP replaces SWIFT and receives that Fed master account officially being recognized as a bank. Ripple's acquisition of Rail, for example, the stablecoin issuer or company, it stands apparently that Rail is said to be on track to process about 10% of all global bank-to-bank stablecoin payments this year. 10%. Ripple is already deeply integrated with the banks, and with the new monetary era shifting towards stablecoins, Ripple and XRP are perfectly positioned to receive a large majority of this capital and inflows. With that in mind, therefore, once the floodgates officially open and all financial institutions start trading on-chain, which we know 91% of all FIs will be coming to ICE 20022 by November this year, liquidity and demand of XRP will explode overnight. $3 XRP right now, currently up 1.41%, 3.3 cents. That is nothing when you think about XRP being used as a liquidity bridge for all cross-border payments, with RUSD and the other stablecoins as the payment mechanism, but XRP as the gas. XRP is still really early, and so is crypto. And to find out more and stay more locked in with this new financial revolution, to stay ahead of the game, then come check out our VIP, wop.com/coin factory, from alpha institutional research documents, trade alerts, and much more. Check it all out for free for 7 days. A link to down below in the description. And remember, as always, don't look short term, think long term, and I'll see you in the next one.